Okay, folks, here we go.
Guys, here we go. Let's have a good show.
1B, stand by. Okay,
Yeah.
Yacht, stand.
Yeah,
Take it.
get at midfield.
Take
Just go
it.
right now. Go to camera 3.
Can
3.
you
Go to the gate. Perfect.
you.
Just like that.
I'll just go ahead.
Yeah. Graphics 2 is going to be up for the first. Okay.
Take it.
Go right now. Go to camera 3. Go. Yep.
Can you
Go to the gate. Perfect. Just like that. No music.
I'm going to hand to Q. Sophie.
Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it.
On radio in the Canal Zone.
All right, guys, mic check.
Yep. Go ready.
Okay, Ricky. Mike.
Yep, I am ready.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Willie, mic check.
Yep, let's go.
1B, stand by.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're live.
Okay, and go for it, guys.
All right. 8 o'clock on the 25th of October. So we're actually less than a week away from Halloween now. But it is nonetheless Friday night. Happy hour at the Balboa Yacht Club. Can't believe the month has gone by this quick. But nonetheless, here we are. Ricky, how you doing, man? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, everybody. I hope we're all happy today and we're all ready for our podcast. Willie, thank you for having me on once again. And everybody out there, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. You know, we do this every Friday, you guys, for our viewing audience and our live guests who thankfully and gracefully are always commenting. And to you guys, we have our first toast.
Absolutely. Salute. Yes, sir. In my Panama beer mug here. I got to make sure I switch hands so I don't spill it.
Oh yeah, me too. I'm having a great, with my favorite scuzzy.
There you go. Scuzzy,
From,
Wuzzy,
Panama
Scoozy,
Company.
whatever you want to call it. It's somewhat.
Scuzzy,
It's
Scuzzy.
got Z's and Y's in it, so that's all we need. You know, we're good.
That's all we need. But guys, this show brings Willie and I, as you know, both born and raised in the Canal Zone, great happiness in providing you with our Zonian history, our Zonian way of life, and up-to-date information on the Zonian world. You know, our reunions, our luncheons, our picnics, golf tournaments, birthdays, you name it. We try to cover it all with you guys. And with that, I welcome everybody to our weekly show. And for our second toast, thank you.
Once again, salute, everybody. Salute. Hopefully we are. I do see that we are on YouTube. It is streaming, so.
Yeah, we are. We are.
Good. So yeah, because we've been having some issues. You know, I think we got them all sorted out now. Finally, I got on with tech support. They walked me through a couple of things that I didn't have some settings done right, but we deleted all the shows and I spent the other night about 2 hours loading stuff all the way through the end of the year. So fingers crossed that it's working and we don't have to redo it again. So
yeah, well, we chose this, so let's get it. Work through it, and let's keep bringing this show on every Friday, regardless of how inexperienced we are. But we're getting there, guys. We're getting there. And again, thank you for coming and being a part of our show.
Sure.
Every Friday.
Those are our growing pains, right? I mean, that's all part of the gig, man. You learn and you improve and you get better at it. But poco a poco, we're getting there. So, but again, the purpose of the show is talking about the Canal Zone, reliving the Canal Zone memories, going back to the zone in many ways, and part of that is, and done in big part from, our friends at the Pan Canal Society. They do so much for us, to help us out and to help us as Zonians to keep that memory going and keep that story alive. That they put on a great reunion. You've got a cool article coming up from the Record, which is a really awesome publication that we've been getting for many, many years. You take these things for granted, but they cost money. Right, all those luncheons, all the things that they do, even looking out for retirees and having a legislative representative, which happens to be our own non-historian Dave Dahlstrom. But it's a really good program they're doing out there for us, keeping the Canal Zone memory alive and well and going strong. But they need our help. We need more membership numbers, as we've learned before. The numbers out there of Zonians that are connected out there versus the number that are actually paid members there's a big disparity. So Remember, we're running this 100 memberships in 100 days drive that started back in September, going all the way through the end of the year. Get your 1-year society membership, $50. It's what you're going to spend with friends or family on a gift anyway. Might as well make it a membership for yourself to renew yours, or for a friend and family member, or both, of course. But let's try and push those numbers and help get that membership up so that we can keep the society doing what they're doing, and helping us have a wonderful remembrance of what it is to be a Zonian, and
Absolutely, yes.
so definitely keep them in mind. Later on, we'll go over our sponsors, as we like to do, and showcase them and talk about them, and what they do for helping us to get this going here. But right now, though, let's go ahead and keep the show going. We have a segment that we were talking about earlier during the week. That Ricky's got some really cool stuff with his Bochincha segment, and on nights like tonight where we don't have guests, where we go ourselves or a lot longer. Ricky loves these, okay, because he gets to be on the air for hours and hours and hours doing his,
Yes, and we could talk about some interesting things, because the Canal Zone does bring us great stories, some great memories. We're doing a piece on the spillway.
Yep.
Tonight. It's like our long version. Hey, what's going on, Ralphie? World Series is on, right?
Yes,
on.
go Yankees. And listen, so let me know in the chat, if you're watching, throw in the chat, Yankees or Dodgers, who you're rooting for. I'm Yankees through and through, 100% Yankees here.
Yeah. Oh, definitely the Panamanian side of me will go with the Yankees, but the California side of me is going with the Dodgers, even though we're giant.
Yeah, how does a Giant fan do that, man? But you know what? For that, again, we are always breaking bread here with those across the aisle, even in the baseball world. So, Ricky, to that, salute,
Yeah,
papa.
no, I mean, a Giant fan saying something good about the Dodgers fan.
That's
is
my point. I mean, but
for the World Series, we're going with our Californian brothers.
Okay. So, yeah, throughout the show, yeah, there you go. That's exactly what he is, Ralph, unless that's what you are. I like the Dodgers. Don't get me wrong. And you know what? You think about it this way. What an iconic World Series. Major League Baseball could not have asked for a better World Series in many, many years. Okay? You have the Yankees and the Dodgers, which at one point was the Yankees and the Brooklyn Dodgers, right? And then the Yankees and the Los Angeles Dodgers. You have New York and Los Angeles, two massive markets. You have Judge and what's his name? What's the guy's? Huh?
Ohtani.
A stellar year. So every story is lined up to have these guys. The only thing that would make it perfect is to go 7 games and go extra innings in the 7th game. To make it just an iconic
Panamanian close it.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Mariano.
If only, man. God Almighty. You remember those days?
Yes.
When you play that, what was it? Metallica, Enter Sandman would play.
Exactly,
and he comes walking on, man. And yeah, that was iconic. But anyway, that's going to be going on. So Ralph, keep us posted. Give us some play-by-play. I may have to switch gears on my phone there and take the YouTube stream.
Yeah, my Apple will send you updates on the scores.
Look at Ralph. Ralphie's saying, what now? Yankees in 4 games? Okay, we'll see. I hope so. I mean, but I'd like to see a longer series, but either way, I think it's going to be awesome, man. I think, again, those are iconic teams. Are you kidding me?
Great players, too.
Yeah, for sure. And players that have had fantastic seasons. There's 2 players, like I said, in particular, that have just been front and center on the newspapers and every week, and everybody's been following them, and now they get to follow them all the way through in the postseason to the end there. So you couldn't ask for more, If only we had Mariano or some other Panamanians there, but nonetheless, speaking of Panama, we do this every week. We get this nice long segment. Ricky, what do you got coming up on your Bochinche? What are we talking about?
Well, yeah, we got a few things coming up. First and foremost, we're going to talk about, all our Canal Zone, statesider, Zonians, what they're up to. And then we're going to shift and move into some what's going on in the spillway. And tonight we're going to talk about 1963. Now, this is two great things happened that year. I'm only kidding. One, I was born that year. Second one was the Canal Zone was in full 100% friendship mode with Panama. So we're gonna go over some of the events, all the friendship things that were going on that year, and the effort that both governments had made, to bring the both of us together, the Canal Zone and the Panamanian. So we got that. We have a little update on the reunion,
Okay.
as well as an update on the Northwest reporter.
Okay.
And like always, we like to do a little bit of Panama-U.S. relations, what are the president's up to, and what the relations are how they're improving or maintaining. So that's kind of what we got coming up, Willie. So I'm kind of excited to get started on that. Oh, and the big one too on the spillway is, the canals. I don't know if you guys out there are familiar with Coachella or Burning Man,
Yeah, of
those big
course.
festivals. Yeah, okay. Well, the Canal Zone back in the day, especially in '63, had a similar festival
Okay.
called the Morgan Garden Festivals. And we're going to talk about that a little bit once we get into our Bochincha segment.
Well,
So, yeah, looking forward to it.
sure. Well, there's no reason to delay it. Then let's go ahead and kick it off and go into our Bochincha segment.
El bochinche, 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 el bochinche.
Well, there you go. That's becoming an iconic song. I think it's already hit the top.
Well, guys,
top
thanks.
40.
I love that song, but I got bombarded there by some messages from my computer. Anyway, guys, thanks for coming and welcome again to El Bochinche segment, my most favorite segment of the show, if you guys can believe that. Well, we're gonna start with the Canal Zone. What our Canal Zone reunion update is.
Yeah.
And truly, this is not an update. This is more like a begging you guys out there if anybody has an update, because we haven't heard much, Willie, from our folks down in Panama. Because we've been waiting for more trains, more boats, and more automobiles to get added on.
Planes, boats,
so
and
that-
automobiles. The movie.
Yeah, right. So that we can get more people signed up for, these events that are happening that week. So anybody out there that has any update on that, please leave us some comments and let us know.
Yeah. And Capitan, they're saying hello. Wapen loco.
Yeah. So remember if that, there's a lot of events going on, but for everybody out there, the big event is the Saturday event. All you Panamanians that are out there that want to participate, all you Zonian Panamanians, Saturday, the Panama Jamboree. Don't forget that, guys, because it's an all-day event, pool party, vendors, authentic Panamanian food, folklore, great shorty and slim music, dancing, and at the end of the night, the iconic picture. So, guys, don't forget to attend. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah.
I believe it's their third or fourth year they do this. Okay, so and before we go off to our next part of the segment is there's still the four favorite places to stay at, guys. Las Cascadas with Andrew.
Absolutely.
Make sure that you guys can stay there.
Right in the heart of the zone in Balboa.
Right in the heart. The Marriott Hotel, the Radisson, and the Holiday Inn in Clayton. Those are the four spots where you guys can definitely get rooms, unless you want to stay downtown, which, there's great hotels down there as well.
Hey, Rich, Wapen loco.
Hey, how's it going, Rich, man? Good to see you. Good to see you every week.
Absolutely.
Okay, coming now, our next part of the Bochincha is coming from the Northwest.
I'm going to try, Andrew, but I don't think I'm going to be able to make it up. I might, but if so, it might be very, very short. Just show up for a couple days in and out, during the reunion. So fingers crossed, but we'll see. We're working on something.
We're working on that. We're gonna, Well, from the Northwest, from our reporter up there and a regular guest on our show, Jim and Clover Duffus. They are from the Pacific Northwest, which is Washington, Oregon, Vancouver. And I don't know if Northern California is part of that, but it's not that far from me. It's like like 6-7 hours away, and in California, guys, driving that is normal. It's not a big deal. Well, he informs us on the Canal record that back in July they threw a big Zonian party in Princeville, Oregon. and well attended, Willie. You know, the picture, over 20 guys there, got together for a weekend of Zonian partying, you know, and this party in July started in Friday, which they had a potluck at Karen DeBoer's Gernert, which is her married name, and her husband Carl co-hosted with Nancy Walker Bells and her husband Keith Bells. They threw a you know, paranda, so to speak, potluck on Friday at Karen's house. Saturday, the following day, they had a picnic where everybody kind of, you know, as well showed up because there was a lot of people camping at,
Right.
you know, at the park where they had the event.
Yeah.
So Saturday, that event started about 10 a.m. in the morning. Everybody started gathering, talking story, eating, and just having a great time. One of my classmates, Neil Lore, was there, so it was good to
Oh,
see
right
him in
on.
the picture. Yeah, Neil was there. He had a little bit of a car trouble, but Jim came through and picked him up and
Nice.
saved the day for Neil.
It's
And
Zonians
Neil
for you,
was
man.
able to, yeah, he was able
Always a
to
Zonian available somewhere.
yeah, always somebody to rescue you. Right on, Jim,
Yeah,
for
for
that.
sure.
That's really cool. Now, Jim and this group of Zonians up there, which I should be a member of because they're not that far from me, they've got a couple of things planned for next year. They're going to redo this same picnic next year in July. So, you know, we'll keep you guys posted on when that comes up, as well as their Christmas luncheon. They're also going to be doing that. Now, Jim Willie also throws two golf tournaments. You know, one in the Northwest, I believe, is in July.
Yeah,
Wait,
they
I
had
got
one
it.
last year in July, right after
One
the
in China
reunion.
and in
Or it was in
Arkansas.
June, I thought it was in June, and then in actually in Washington.
Washington. Oh yeah, coño. It says I got so many papers now doing these long. Look at this.
Look at this guy. Now he needs an
Look at this.
assistant.
Anyway, so
Ya
I
la
lost where
vida.
all his golf tournaments are, but I know he's got one in Arkansas and one in Washington.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got Jim. I screwed up your dates, but yes, right on, Jim, for doing all that for the Canal Zone Canal Zone Society. Totally. Here it is, of course, the top page. I'm looking underneath it. So his
Yeah.
Arkansas is in October. His Arkansas golf tournament is in October. And then his West Coast in Washington is in, I don't know. I don't have it written down.
Well, he had it already this year, so that would be next year, and we certainly
next
will
year. I
will
think it
help
was
him promote
July.
it once he goes live. I think it was before the reunion, June, late June.
Oh,
I
that's
want to say
right.
like
Right
the
before
28th or
reunion.
something, give or take. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, well, once we
Yeah,
hear
but
about the new one scheduled, we'll certainly start promoting it and get the word
Yeah.
out. You
And
know,
we're
and who
definitely gonna.
knows? There's, you know, every so often you find these deals. You know, if you want to talk about traveling, I tell you what, you want to hear something funny. On a side note, I'm a big aviation fanatic, always have been, love the airplanes and whatnot. I mean, every day for lunch, I go and park next to the runway there at Tampa Airport and just eat lunch and
Oh,
watch planes for an
yeah.
hour, right?
And
So
that's big in Puerto Rico too. People go
yeah,
and watch
plane
the planes.
spotting. I
Yeah.
love plane spotting. So
Yeah.
in New York, in JFK Airport, they have the TWA Hotel. Okay, it is built into the airport in JFK. It is set up very iconic to the back in the 50s, 60s era of you know, air travel and jet travel. All the staff there wears, you know, former TWA uniforms and everything. And the cool thing is that they have rooms that face the ramp and the runway. And so you open your blinds and there's 747s down there in front of you. They have a pool deck with a bar that's open air and all the aircraft are right there in front of you. And this is JFK, you know, so you're going to be busy. There's always planes. So a friend of mine at work, he's actually Monday morning flying to New York. He's a big Yankees fan. He's from New York. And he found a deal on Frontier Airlines. Round trip from Tampa nonstop to JFK, $63 round trip. And that's the full price, taxes and everything.
Do you get a seat for that price, or you got to stand up?
Hell, I think they'd put you in the luggage bin at that price, but still, man. So I was telling my wife, I go, hey, I want to take advantage of that deal and go, you know, she said, where are we going to go? I was like, to the airport. She goes, and then what? I was like, and then we're going to stay there. She goes, what do you mean? I said, we're going to stay there for one day and fly back the next day. She's like, why? and that's when I was messing with her. So I pulled it up on YouTube, the
Of
video,
course.
and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
I mean it's a great looking hotel, man. It's really really awesome. And for somebody that's into aircraft like that, she's works with American Express Travel, so hopefully we can get a deal on the hotel room.
Right on,
And
right on.
and
Yeah,
it's
that's
just a
big
getaway,
now.
but I mean, $125 round trip for the two of us to fly to New York. Get out of
That's
here,
kind
man.
of
How do you
nice. If
not
you're
take
gonna go see a
advantage?
nice show and some
Exactly.
music
You can
and
do
get some
whatever
good
you want at
food.
that price. So, but
Yeah.
anyway, that's going on here. And again, guys, keep us posted on the game when it starts, what the score is. But Dale Ricky, man, do your bochinche.
Yeah. Now, guys, now we're gonna go into the Spillway story, 1963 February.
Right
All
on.
right. So remember, the Canal Zone was in full friendship mode, and so much was going on during this time. And then again, no wonder there were so many children in October. This is February, so a lot of just so much going on in the Canal Zone. Some of the things that they were doing on the sporting side, because that's kind of what I covered here, is there was a softball tournament where 3 teams were from the Canal Zone, 2 teams from the Army, and 2 teams from Panama. Big softball league tournament going on during this time. And then some of those teams were the White Horse, which not during my time, but Abernathy was around my time. You remember Abernathy? They were always around. Phillips Radio, Navy, Army, and Panama had 2 teams. At the same time, Willie, there was also a big bowling tournament going on. If you recall,
And this was
had
February.
February. Now this is dry season, so that's why we're going to have
Okay.
track.
Well, let's go look at it. We're going here to the UF Digital Collection, University of Florida's
Correct.
Digital Collection, and
And
we're going to scroll down here to what was it? February of '63.
Yeah, so our viewing audience can see how to use this valuable information,
It's
guys.
amazing, guys. Remember,
Yes,
all the spillways
yeah.
are right here, man. It's
Yeah,
incredible.
that's where I get all my Canal Zone history and info. Not all, but I would say a good 80%.
Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff in here. So here we are, 63, February. Do you remember what week you had that from?
I didn't know they had it every week.
They had it. It was a
So-
weekly every Friday.
No
So
way.
we'll go to the first one here.
Yeah, go with the first one. Try the first one. Clicky.
So here we go.
Oh yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
All right. And so there's a zoomable feature here, which is really cool because then you can go down, you can zoom in, zoom out so that we can get a good view of what we're looking at here.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's go into the sports section, which I think is the third page.
Okay.
And then we'll come back to the front.
Okay, right on.
Because
There
I
we
want to
go.
see all the things that were going on during this time. So this is what we're going to be talking about, all these events here. So we have the softball tournament, which you'll see the standings right around the middle.
There you go.
And I got a good story on that Jaguar you see there too.
Okay.
Well, so there was a softball tournament going on at this time, a bowling tournament, and some of the places where the bowling tournaments were being held at were the Balboa, alley. I mean, the Balboa bowling alley, which of course was the king of them all. Albrook and Corundu. Those were the participating bowling alleys that were having this big tournament during that time. Another big thing that Panama-U.S. Canal Zone relations, Willie, if you scroll to the bottom, you'll see these police. And the story on that, scroll towards the bottom.
Yep. Hold on. Just getting this banner up.
The story on that is Panama every year has a very prestigious golf tournament called the Panama Open Amateur Championship. And this year in '63, a Canal Zone police was
Where's it at?
right at the bottom where it says Canal Zone Police to defend title.
Oh, zone policeman.
Yeah, Zone Police. Maurice, they call him Maury Mueller.
Okay.
He won it the year before, so he was the reigning champion, defending champion. And his scores are there. This guy shot in the low 70s.
Wow.
But
Look
in
at this
the
guy.
Canal Zone Cup, he had won his first time. He had participated 10 tournaments before, and the best he ever placed was 5th. But in '62, again, the Canal Zone was in full mode.
Yeah.
Yeah. They actually won it. And so it was a big event for the '63. This was promoting that golf tournament that was coming up. And then the governor was going to be present. So was the president of Panama. So it was a big
so
thing
cool.
for both communities.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah. Yeah. Another big thing that was going on was at that time, there was no Roberto Duran. But the big champion of the time was Ismael
Yes.
Laguna.
That's right.
Yeah, he was Batman weight, and he was a champion. Well, he had just in month of February during this one, Laguna. Yeah, he set a record for Panama, most consecutive wins for Panamanian boxer.
Okay,
He,
very good.
yeah, he 10 knockouts. Either TK or KO. But
Yeah,
this one, he beat a fellow Californian.
there you
He
go.
TK'd him, and he was a featherweight. TK'd him, Bobby Gray. And yeah, this fight took place at the Cologne Arena, and it was
Oh, nice.
it was his 10th. Yes, Cologne used to be really nice back in the
Yeah,
60s.
that's true.
Because they had a lot going on, a lot of industry out there.
Yeah,
It was his 10th consecutive win by knockout.
nice.
So, yeah, so we had that going on as well. Another thing that was going on that was big today was the Caribbean Series baseball.
Yep. Speaking of baseball,
The Caribbean Series was just coming up, and Panama, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, and Nicaragua
yeah.
was in the series back then. Yeah, and then all the players, the Canal Zone again in friendship mode. All the players that participated got a transit through the canal on the Las Cruces.
Oh,
Remember
nice.
the Las Cruces? The Las
Yeah,
Cruces? Yeah. They took them out there,
that's so cool.
That was so cool. And then, of course, during this time is when we have the Balboa Invitational Relays.
Yep, the Balboa Relays. God, that
Which is
name, everybody remembers that name, the Balboa
Yeah,
Relays.
yeah.
That was
That's
big
the
track
one
and field.
relay where it's open. So Panama participated.
Yeah,
The military guys participated. Anybody could participate. So those were a big deal. So all that was going on, guys, in the month of February.
and if you think about it, during those Balboa Relays, you're in elementary school because as you can see on the event there, they have the
Yeah,
elementary division and stuff. So
correct.
you're running in tournaments with international track stars that are
Yeah,
running for the national teams. And Panama has a pedigree of track and field and and a lot of athletics where you know there were some serious athletes there, and even for the military a lot of people came down that were some serious athletes that it's just quite an event. Those stands were packed for races, and they weren't just there to come and watch us in elementary school either. But that was
yeah,
pretty
because
cool.
it was all the winners from the season that made it to the relays. So
Correct.
you had to win during the season, at least
Yes.
first or second, to get into the relays team. So guys, that was a totally amazing month in on the sports part of what was going on in the Canal Zone.
Yep. Yep.
Now on the social event, they had this one big huge festival back in the day called the Morgan Garden Festival. Now,
Okay.
I don't know if you guys out there remember where Morgan Gardens was. I remember, but I don't know if you guys out there, our viewing audience, remember. But
Yeah.
it was a day full of games and music and food, booze, and just all day fun. And the all the money that was raised during this event
Hmm.
went to charities for the Cathedral of St. Luke. All the proceeds went to Canal Zone organizations, such as the Girl Boy Scouts,
Yeah.
as well as a bunch of the other stuff that the Canal Zone, because they also promoted like a Busa temple for the burn
Nice.
victims, things like that the
Yeah.
Canal Zone was very, very involved in. So all the money from this festival went there. Now, why is this festival so important, Willie? They had trains, all right, coming from Balboa, actually, yeah, from Balboa and Cologne every 30 minutes, starting at 10 a.m. Every 30
Wow.
minutes, they had trains bringing people to this festival from both sides, stopping at Morgan Gardens. And so that's what they were doing, bringing people.
Well, that gives you guys a clue as to where Morgan's Gardens is if you don't remember, because you could take
Yeah,
it by
it's definitely
train.
on
So
the
you had to leave Balboa, and you also had to leave Cristobal,
so
right?
somewhere in there in the middle.
Somewhere in there, and
Yeah,
it's a
and
one straight line, so you can't get off track. Hit to
yeah.
get there.
During this year, I don't even know if it was this year, or the year before. The train, the Panama Railroad Company brought in the air conditioned trains.
Oh, remember
So
that?
one of the things that the train company was doing at the time was chartering these air conditioned trains, and so there was a big thing for the canals on at the time too. It's like us, we got on the Chivas. Well, back then they would get on the train, and they would get on this air conditioned train, and it was for charitable,
Right.
religious, nonprofit, but anybody, they would get first a go at the reservation,
Sure.
but anybody can go. So I'm sure, a lot of guys would get the money because it was $2 per person one way. So you had obviously $4 unless you were going to jump off in Cristobal. And so it was $4 per person. You could charter this and go back and forth
Nice.
and travel on the tastefully decorated AC trains that came with snack tables, bar,
Yeah.
lounge chairs. It was the thing to do.
That was
So
cool.
Morgan Gardens was a big Morgan Gardens Festival, Spring Festival. Sorry, the Morgan Gardens Spring Festival was a huge event in the Canal Zone.
Yes, I
It-
know, Lee. Finally. Gracias por tu paciencia, papa, man. We've been struggling to get this shit right. So yes, finally.
we finally got it, but yeah, it is what it is, man. We
Yep.
take our lumps, man, but we keep pushing.
By the way,
Guys,
¿qué pasó con tus vikingos anoche, Leaf? Sushi, loco.
yeah, the Vikings are going to get exposed. Well, anyway, let's move on because we can get into NFL. This last one is a big event. Again, back to the Canal Zone and their friendship mode. There was every year in Panama, they threw this at Colegio Javier. I don't know if you guys remember Colegio Javier, but Panama had three major high schools: Javier, La Salle, and San Agustin. Those were the three big high schools that I remember.
Yeah.
Well, this event called it was the sixth annual commercial industrial electrical fair. So it was like a big event that Panama threw, and 50,000 people would show up. Now remember, in the 60s, there was like 1 million people in the whole country, period. There wasn't that many people there. So for 50,000 people to show up to an event, this was a big deal.
Right.
So the Canals are again in friendship mode. They had an exhibit there, and what they did bring, and this is the reason why I'm talking about this story. What they did bring to be innovative, because this is what this whole show was about. I mean, this fair was about. They brought this soundtrack machine, a music machine, which I'm sure they also
Okay.
used it for the locks. But
Yeah.
anyways, it was a soundtrack machine. And if you remember the '60s, there was no tape still. It was all the reel to reel. So it had to be the high technology of that. So the Canal Zone sent in a bunch of guild members, to exhibit this machine. So where the story gets good is every year at this remember the sixth annual, the fair had a very popular pianist by the name of Lucho Asgarga
Of course.
playing the music.
Yeah.
So when the Canal Zone brought this equipment and then he played on it, and of course he killed it, that's where the relationship with Lucho came. And then he
Ah.
became the Canal Zone's iconic organist.
Yeah.
But from that event of Lucho playing with the Canal Zone exhibit. Now this was a 9-day event, guys. This was this wasn't no little one weekend thing. This was a big
Right.
big event, well attended. On Friday night they had the big gala, and one of the things about this event was the Chinese community or colony in Panama, which has been there since because they built the railroad.
Right.
They've been there for a long time. Like
Sure.
Zonians, they got third and fourth generation Chinese in Panama.
Right. Right.
So it was like a big event for them as well.
Sure.
The Chinese VIPs would be at this gala, and then Saturday, like the typical reunions, they had a big carnival event, music, dancing, and then the closing ceremonies with the president of Panama and the governor was also present for these closing.
Okay.
So, guys, as you can see, the Canal Zone was truly in friendship mode. A lot of
Sure
stories,
was.
Willie, that now we're going to get into a little bit of the politics, a little bochincha part. A lot of the story that we hear is that there's all this antagonism from the Canal Zone towards Panama.
Right.
And then you read what was happening, and it's just not true. Look at all
Yeah.
the things I talked about. Everything I talked about was Panama and the Canal Zone, sports events,
Yeah.
fairs, music festivals, all kinds of things happening in the friendship level.
Yeah.
Guys, 11 months later is when all the riots start. It's when the students came to Balboa High School and then the riots started 11
Sure.
months after that. So I don't see what the reason was for this riot.
No,
I mean, there
listen,
was,
that was pushed in there. That was an agenda that somebody drove in there. That wasn't spontaneous. These
yes,
people didn't
and
suddenly 11 months later decide, fuck these people, I hate them. Right?
yeah. But anyway, because the Canal Zone was not antagonistic. They
No,
were
that's what I'm saying.
full friendship mode from
100%.
1961 when they changed the law and they flew both flags. The Canal Zone was 100% into showing the relationship between the
Yeah,
two countries works. So I don't
100%.
understand all this saying that we looked with the Canal Zone asked for it and they got what they asked for.
You know, you were never going to have 100% support for the Americans in the zone ever. So there was that faction, and they managed to get into the students' ears, and next thing you know, they started pushing something that was never there. The people were
Yeah,
like, "Yeah, we're good
and
with this."
selecting the high school students, because
That
to
was
them it was
always
probably
the case.
like playing against Cristobal. Everybody's jacked up, and oh god,
And listen, that's written in the playbook. Everywhere in the world, when you see unrest start, it typically happens with university students. These are the people that are becoming adults. They're wanting to establish themselves. They got all these strong beliefs, and so it's easy to drive them and manipulate, and that's what they
yeah.
did. They
But
did.
listen, for our viewing audience, no, the Canal Zone for 3 years prior to that, they were in full friendship mode, cooperating,
Yeah.
collaborating,
There's
fusing.
a lot of historical
Related.
references to the U.S. as colonialists, and they were far from it.
Yes, that's what the Zonians are called. They were called American colonialists.
Yeah, they
That's
were.
what
They. I
the
mean,
Zonians-
that was not a colonial at all. In fact, there was many times where, in fact, as we learned, 2 weeks ago with the October 11th events in '68, where the U.S. stayed out of it, basically.
Get out of it, yeah. Right.
Arnulfo got overthrown, and he even went into the zone for refuge. And they said, "Well, dude, you can stay here, for your safety and all that, but we're
Yeah, and
not going in there to
Zara
stay."
too. And
Yeah.
Zara too is in the zone for his safety. But
So
anyways, guys, we're here. We're not political. We just want
right.
to correct the story of who
Yes.
the Canal Zone residents, aka Zonians, were. We are not the people that are being portrayed out there. I'm sure there's a few, but not the majority. We are the majority.
Correct.
We
Yeah.
act like the majority. We are the majority. Everybody on
Yeah.
this show,
Certainly.
most people that watch this show are all have been to Panama, all have enjoyed every part of Panama,
Yeah.
and not how they're portrayed that they
Correct.
never left the zone, things like that, which is what you hear.
Yeah. Right.
But
Right.
we're here to correct that, and I hope all you historians out there follow our
Yeah,
our
exactly.
truth.
It is. It is. So, but listen, real quick before we continue, so poor Leaf can vent, Pobrecito, because I know he's been a
His
long suffering
Vikings,
Vikings fan, but so that game last night, yeah, we'll let him go ahead and throw his stuff out there just because, and I
was it
did
the
see
mask,
this.
the
Yeah,
missed basketball?
that was terrible, man. I mean, you listen, in junior football as a referee, you're taught when that person's head goes like that, that means they grab the face mask. You know,
Absolutely.
if anything, you err on a side of caution. But to just ignore that, and that was unbelievable. So yeah, we got you, brother. Don't worry about it. It's even ESPN said it's totally, yeah, it was. But in all honesty, you put yourselves in a position there by playing a bad game. All right. There's no way that the Rams should have been competing with you in that game at all to be in
No,
a
the Rams
position
are
to win
good.
off the
They're good.
safety. The
They're
Rams
good.
aren't
They got
that
good
good.
receivers. They got a
Yeah,
good quarterback and they got a good
I
receiver.
know, but I don't think they're at that caliber right now like they were a couple years ago. I've always said if you're losing a game because of a ref call, unless it's two really, really well-matched teams, you shouldn't have been in a position to lose it from a bad call.
Yes. Well, let's wrap this up and we'll get back to Leaf Solene. Oh, actually,
Yeah.
by the way, we have a Solene story tonight. Now let's wrap up this beautiful segment, aka El Bochinche, with what we always like to talk about: Panama Canal Zone relations.
Yes.
Our president Molino, he's been out there he's been kind of a bully lately, like we're talking about the treaties and Torrijos. How Torrijos went out there and he went to the UN and he got everybody to side with him and he got this canal, right? Well, Molina, our president's kind of doing the same thing. He's out there, but he's not asking for any favors. He's out there bullying people because what he's doing, he's on his world tour through the United Nations, Europe, South American countries.
Okay.
He's trying to rid Panama of all these blacklists that they're placed on.
Yes.
Because what it does, it costs Panamanians more money to get money, right?
Exactly.
And of course the prestige, right? So, but some people disagree with what he's doing because he's out there threatening all these big countries, But he's,
Yeah.
but he's got, he's got some teeth in this, So
Sure.
he's actually telling people either you take us off the list or we're going to sanction you. Where does that come from? We're going to sanction you. And so people laugh.
Imagine that. People at Panama sanctioning
Yeah.
me? Dale,
How
bro.
can you sanction us? So Panama says, hey, you can go through our canal all you want, but I hope you don't need gas. I hope you don't need to fix your boat. And I hope you don't need to register your boat with the Panamanian flag
Wow.
because we're going to make it difficult for you. Not only that, hope you're not in any rush because we got a line.
Well, and I don't know if I'm going to be stepping on your toes here or not, but they took further action regarding those registrations recently.
No, I'm going to get into that. Hold on.
Good. That's why I prefaced it that way. I didn't want to step on your toes.
I'm up to date on all this stuff.
I know you are.
I'm researching. So he's been out there doing, meeting with Macron and meeting with the in the United Nations. He's meeting with the Spaniards. He's meeting with the Colombians, the Chileans, the Peruvians. Because all these guys have us on freaking on their blacklist, gray list, I think is what they call them. They're all countries that take Panama to task,
right?
For laundering the funds of their tax evaders and their gangsters,
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's what our president's up there doing right now.
That's all stemming from those Panama Papers scandal from a few years ago. Remember, that's what that is coming from.
Yes. Well, that's what it's all about. But he's out there doing at least all the past presidents, Willie, did nothing about it. They're just like, oh well.
Oh yeah, no. Listen,
we're a small country, nothing we can do. Sorry. Go ahead, whip me.
He's
not
saying,
this
listen,
president.
This passed, and we got to move forward. And if you don't, let me show you what we still are able to do.
Right. Now, my opinion is this comes from U.S. Panama relations. Right now, U.S. and Panama have 4 fronts that we're really tight on. Okay, one is confronting Venezuela, right?
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. is behind us, and our president is out there, calling them out on everything. Calling out the Brazilians, the Mexicans, the United Nations, the American Organization of American States. Saying, wait, what are you guys talking about? Democracy and peace, and then you don't, and you're backing Venezuela. So the illegal immigration, through and the destruction of the Darien Gap. That's a big thing. Between the U.S. and Panama. And the one that I've been following a lot is, Panama it's one of the 7 countries that has been established by the U.S. to produce semiconductors. Fabs, I think that's what they call these factories. Now this is huge. Now, what recently came out, which is even going to help Panama even more, is the U.S. government will be giving financial assistance through tax breaks and even funding,
a lot of incentives
for U.S. companies to establish semiconductor factories, aka fabs, in Panama. Howard and stuff like that. So. Yes. Guys, that is huge. A bright future for our little country. And then last but not least comes, how Panama is helping the U.S. on imposing U.S. sanctions on like Cuba, Iran, and Russia. Yeah. Because these countries, what they do is that they get their ships registered under Panama. Panama being the largest registry of ships in the world. They got something like 8,000 ships under registration. So Molino, saying, look, you guys are on the list, and you're on the U.S. sanction list. Guess what? No register for you. And if you don't have a registry, you can't dock at ports. There's a lot of things you can't do. Can't get insurance. And everybody monitors you.
It's like not being a registered airline. You
Correct.
can't fly around to
have to be
airports and
registered.
land and pick up passengers. You can't do that
So
stuff.
that is helping the U.S. Impose sanctions on on all these
And
countries
that's a
that
strong move, let me tell you, because that's a lot of
our
shipping
president
that's being
now.
impacted.
Correct. And all that comes from our great relations. And
Yeah.
I'm hoping our show does something to improve that both in the US and in Panama.
Yeah, well,
So
listen,
Willie,
if we need to bring the president of the United States and Panama on the show as guests so they can talk on here and answer questions from you guys, that's what we'll have to do.
that'll be awesome. That'll be
We'll do.
awesome. Well, Willie, to wrap this up, a little quote. A
Okay.
wise man will make more opportunities than he finds.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Yeah.
Well, that's what our show does. It brings us
Yeah.
way more opportunities than we ever thought.
That is very true. That is very,
I
very
love
true.
I love doing the research and prepping for this show. And
Yeah, no,
guys,
that was really cool. And just real quick before you sign off on this, going back to the spillway real quick, let's check out what was on TV in
yeah,
February
yeah,
of
yeah. I know this is what you
1963.
love. This is the part
I
you love.
do, man, because this is stuff that everybody can relate to, and first and foremost, check it out. On Sunday was the biggest TV day because it started as early as 1 p.m. Look at that, huh? Wow.
They,
1
they knew we
p.m.
were playing. They knew we were at the
Right?
gym, at the bowling alley, at the
Yeah,
pool.
but look, you get later on in the week, it was 4:50, it was 5 o'clock when TV started.
Yeah, they know we're
It
not going to
was
be home at that hour. When
What
we
a
were growing
great
up.
gig to have if you worked at SCN, man. You went to work at 5 in the afternoon, you were done at 11, man. It was a short day. But so we had Merv Griffin. Look at what there's not on Sunday. Well, this is February, so he's not going to have NFL. That's true. What would be on at this time of the year? Baseball wouldn't start yet. It's
Well, the
February.
playoffs, but back then they didn't have so many games, so the playoffs were probably done by.
So the
end of
NBA was on right now. It was the NBA, and of course the NHL was never covered in Panama. But the NBA, we got some of that stuff. But
like bobsledding, yeah, that wasn't very, very popular.
yeah, no, for sure, man. But yeah, they didn't. Price is Right. It was at 7:30 p.m. Check that out.
Yeah,
Wow.
Oh yeah, right after dinner for sure. I remember that.
That's a trip, man.
Well, not in '63, but later on.
Yeah. Right. Captain Kangaroo, 2 o'clock. Carnival
so
Cartoon, The Texan.
63. Yeah, '63 was a great, great year in Panama and in the Canal.
What were the TV series? The Real McCoys. Let's see. I don't reckon it. Encore, Perry Coble. What? God Almighty, man! Y'all, hopefully you did something outside because Jesus Christ,
There's nothing on TV. I mean, wasn't that TV new? When did TV come around? The late '50s?
Oh,
Mid-50s?
late 40s, early 50s, I think. But geez, by the
Yeah.
60s, you had to have something for Christ's sakes. That was brutal. But anyway,
brutal.
all right.
Well,
Well,
yeah.
nonetheless, man.
Like I said, we were all outside.
Yeah,
We were
that's exactly right.
This is another observation, Willie. You notice that you don't see kids in cast anymore, like broken arms, broken leg. When we were growing up, every other kid had a broken arm or a broken wrist.
If anything, got a sprained thumb now from working that damn.
No, they got broken hearts now.
Yeah, that's so true. That's very true, dude. I'll bet you since the advent of the touch screen phone, because that's when really the mobile world exploded. Prior to that, it was a cell phone.
2008.
Yeah, but when you got the touch screens where you really could have apps and a lot of interaction, video started streaming. At that point, I think you're absolutely right. The childhood injuries started dropping way down because these little rat bastards weren't outside playing anymore. They were sitting in their damn house on a tablet.
Yeah.
Wow, that is a great observation, man. So that was a good bochiche, man. A lot of interesting
Good,
stuff, man.
good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I did some great research. I had a good week of doing that. I enjoyed it very much.
When our era, 70s not so much, but we were still younger. But the 80s in that era, I think the animosity had started to build up. Ever since they signed the treaties, that created some animosity. And so I think a lot of us don't recognize all those things that you were talking about there that was going on at that time when it really was two very friendly neighborly countries, and the ill feelings were few and far between. And certainly when I was after 79, after the treaty, it really was Panamanians against the Americans in a lot of ways. I even have memories of some of my friends early on when I had, like I've said before, I had a birthday party at Parque Urraca, and my next door neighbor, one of my best friends, couldn't go because his parents wouldn't let him in Panama. You know, it's just it
Well,
was a
that was the few. I mean, there
it was
was. I'm not saying
exactly.
there wasn't those because I knew a few myself, but it was definitely not the majority.
No, no, without a doubt.
Not at all.
But even then, you know, as the treaty came into effect and as all that started to change, there was that differentiator. Even to the point where I think there was people that were resentful, you know, and even you and I think maybe in a little ways seeing a Panamanian police car driving in the zone, you know, because we grew up
We were
having our
Volkswagens back then. We had no respect for them.
yeah, I
But
know.
speaking of that, Willie, we're thinking of having a few Kiwani coats on, so we're going to be able to
Yeah.
ask them these questions. What was that rivalry like for you guys? You know, like for us, it was everything, right? What was it for you guys? You know,
You know,
try
I
to
have to
explain
assume
to
for
us.
them it was probably even bigger, man, because they kind of were carrying the weight of the whole country was
Well,
on their
that's what they
shoulders.
say. The difference between football then and football now was back then they were playing for country. You
Yeah.
know, now they play for the sport, right? And
We were playing
and
for
the accolades.
Balboa. We were
Yeah,
playing for
back
our
then the
team. These guys
Panamanians
are
were
playing for the
playing.
entire country
Yeah, they
against
were
the
playing for
power
country.
United States.
So they would leave their souls on the playing
Yeah.
field, man. So those were the kind of games we had.
Well,
So
and you
you
think about this. I don't recall, and maybe it happened or not, but I don't recall even like the governor going to our games. But I remember that Shrine Bowl game with the Kiwanis, and the president of Panama was there.
yeah,
That's
because
the
his son
level
did.
of
Yeah.
commitment that that entire country had behind this one team being able to take on the United States in a sense. You know, so yeah,
So
it's gonna be
at their
fun to have those
sport.
guys on and talk about it. Yeah,
Yeah, I know. I love
exactly.
it.
Great point at their sport too.
Yeah.
Not at a
And a couple of them are politicians, big time
yeah,
politicians today,
yeah,
Fulo Linares. And if we can get Roots on, Roots ran for president.
yeah. Romulo Rooks ran for president.
Romulo Roots, we can get him on.
Sure did.
It'll be great. Linares ran for the assembly, and he's
Yeah.
always been a top politician in the Panameñista party. He's a good kid, good guy,
Yeah,
good
no,
friend.
it'll be a lot of fun to have those guys on and talk about to
Talk
your
about
point
those
that
days. Yeah.
those
Maybe have
days.
one week some Balboa Ran guys and another week the Kiwani guys, and then have like another week of the rebuttal of those, or something like that.
Yeah, look at what Sheila's posting on her. So true, so true. I look back as a kid in the Canal Zone. It's a miracle we live to tell about it. Vines to swing on, going down the admin slopes on our bike. Yes, going over that jump at Balboa Elementary. Skating the post office parking lot. We stayed at
Yeah.
Balboa. Remember jumping the fence at night on the Balboa pool and sneaking in there at night to fool around or whatever.
No, I never did that.
Oh yeah, I never did that either. Yeah, what are you talking about? Never did anything like that. But yeah,
Yeah,
that
all
was
over town our bikes. Yes, absolutely. Sheila, which town? Sounds like you were a Balboa girl.
had to be. Everything there is Balboa, man. That's
Yeah.
got El Prado written all over it. you know. Yeah,
That's
that
where
was
I grew up,
cool.
El Prado. Right on, right
Yeah,
on. Yeah.
that's what it looks like. I mean, everything's talking about is right that strip of from there. She went from the admin building to the post office to the Balboa pool. That's that El Prado line right there. You know. That's great. Great memories, man. Love that. Which is what we want to do here, man, on this show. Everybody throw your memories in there. What you guys did, your early years when you weren't on a tablet. We didn't have any of that stuff, right? I mean, heck, we didn't even have the Walkman. Remember, even back then you had the boombox. If you wanted to have music, you had a big radio to carry around with you. I mean, everything was done outside. You did not go home until those street lights were on. That's the rule, man. Because it wasn't
When
it
you're
was
a senior, you can go get, a beer at the yacht club and get home like
right.
at 7. Yeah, yeah. If you're a
Yeah.
senior or first year out of high school.
Yeah, that's the other one that my wife still laughs at when I tell her that, as a senior on Thursday nights, you'd go to the yacht club, just be home by around midnight, and she's like, but you're in high school and you're going to a bar.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Well, yeah. And,
So it was almost every other kid there. Yeah,
I'm a
Thursdays
Zonian.
at the yacht
Sorry. I
club
mean,
was
that's what we do, man.
legendary.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
That's great, man. So yeah, good stuff there, man. All right, so we're gonna do our birthday segment, and because we got to give this one some time. We missed some birthdays last week, and turns out we missed quite a few. And that's on me because that's one of my jobs is to gather our birthday list. I try and go through it. And each time that I would send Ricky the updated list over the last couple of days, all of a sudden he'd be like, "Damn, more?" I was like, "Yeah, sorry, I found 4 more." And
No, but
so,
it's good though. I'm glad we do this, and I'm glad we're thorough at it, Willie. And
yeah,
having
it's a fun part, man.
25
People
like
like
yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah, and I'm sure everybody likes to hear their name be, wishing us happy, wished a great happy birthday from us here at the Canal Zone reunion. I mean, the
Yeah.
Canal Zone happy hour.
Well, it is a reunion in a sense, right? That's what we're having here is a reunion for sure.
All right, well,
So,
let's get into it. Our
so yeah,
81s.
go ahead, do
You
your
always have to
thing.
start with our 81s, guys, because close to my
Kind of,
heart.
kind of a
At the end of
thing.
the day, I was the runner up for Mr. Balboa High School. Kevin Croft was Mr. Balboa High School, and apparently he won by 2 votes.
And you were the runner-up. Look,
Kelly Morris and I were the runner up. She lost by 1 vote, and I lost by 2 votes.
check this guy out. Huh? Look at him. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. Kelly and I were like, we didn't get ripped off, but yeah, fine. We'll take second place. Guys, happy birthday to Yolanda Figueroa. Irby Garrett, one of the great 81ers and a great Zonian. Gwen Porter, very quiet black girl that just was so sweet to me. Happy birthday to her. I hope that you listen to this podcast because I'm wishing you a very, very happy birthday. Fernando Ruiz from Panama,
Okay.
went to Bible High School with us. Mark
Uh-huh.
Scrabble.
Rabel. Yeah.
Yeah, good guy, good guy. His little brother did an iconic video of the Canal Zone, and I'm sure you guys have seen it on YouTube. He plays that rock song, and he has all the pictures.
Yeah. Yeah.
Darling,
Yeah.
up.
That's
Great,
right.
great, great. Yeah, a Scrabble did that. Mark's little brother, my very, very close friend, and truly, this guy is the person I've known the most my entire life. And, outside of my brothers and sisters, and that's Larry Solene. Larry
Yeah.
Solene and I and Adolfo Tinker. I mean, I think at 1 we were playing. No, truly, like
Nice.
in the same pen,
Yeah. Well, you
So
guys
happy
live next door.
birthday to my brother Larry, Leafy's brother.
Yep.
Happy birthday to him. Maria del Pilar Suescam,
Yep.
beautiful, beautiful human being. Happy birthday to her. And moving on with out of the 81s now. Celia Cronin, happy birthday to you, Miss Celia. Brenda Stokes, Cristobal High School, very popular girl. One of the pretty girls too. I remember her. Danilo Haynes, my brother, him and I went to St. Mary's together.
Yeah.
So I've known Danilo too, maybe first, second grade when I got started. I started second grade in St. Mary's. So Danilo, happy birthday to you. Stacy Keith, beautiful, beautiful, happy birthday.
Yes.
Sean
Class of
Farrell.
'86.
Oh, right
Stacy,
on,
class of
man.
'86. Yeah. And
Yeah.
Sean.
No wonder I know that name because Roby and you are the same class. No wonder I know
Yes.
that name,
Yes.
Stacy. Yes.
Yeah. She's a great
Ronnie
girl.
Askew, very close friend, very, very. He's very smart. I don't know if you've been on some pages with him and I, and some political discussion. He's quite the smart kid, man.
Yeah.
I like Ronnie.
Yeah.
Jackie Davis.
Mhm.
Story on Jackie and when she first moved to the Canal Zone. I mean, I think that the first day they moved there, I met her, and I also met Misty Forsythe. That's how I met Misty. Misty and
Okay.
Jackie. They flew in on the same day together to the Canal Zone. They just happened to meet John Cantanzero and I at the Balboa pool. But happy birthday, Jackie. Great to say hi to her. Michelle, clear blue eyes, Willachek, the most
Yeah.
beautiful eyes in the Canal Zone's
Yeah.
ever seen.
She was
Yes,
a
happy
fellow
birthday.
St. Mary's also.
Also, Villa
Class
St.
of
And
'86 and St. Mary's.
Veronica Huffman gets the number 1 spot. Michelle, I gotta give you the second spot.
Wow, man, that didn't even last a minute, man. Poor thing. Michelle, you're number 1 in my book. All right.
Veronica was my girlfriend. That's why. Veronica was my
Uh,
girlfriend in 10th grade.
That was biased,
Most
Michelle. Don't believe it.
beautiful blue eyes you've ever seen in your life. Oh, happy birthday to Michelle Willachek. Great family, by the way. The Willacheks are great folks, great people. Leslie Cannon.
Yes. Another
Mrs.
86 class of
Another
86
86,
in
you're
St. Mary's.
correct.
And yep.
Yeah. Mrs. Barbara Vose, happy birthday to you. And Mrs. Vose, sorry we missed Carla's birthday, your daughter. But we have made up because Darla, we've made up. Did I say Carla? Oh
You
my
did.
God, another
God
ex-girlfriend.
almighty, this guy, man. What's the matter with this guy? Ya la vida, loco.
Darla,
Yes.
happy birthday to your mom. And sorry, Darla, for missing Scott
Yes.
McGinnis. from
Yeah,
a
and
great
by the way,
family.
Mrs. Vos, she would make, and my dad always asked me about this, does she still make those deviled eggs? Because he loved the deviled eggs that she would sell at the Rams games. She would have that big jar there. Oh my God, he'd buy the whole
I
damn
even
jar.
remember those deviled eggs.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes. That
Yeah.
was Barbara Vos, Mrs. Vos. Awesome.
Scott McInnes, good family. He's a good kid. I like him a lot.
Yep.
Jennifer Ender, Happy
Mhm.
birthday, Jennifer. Matt Guitar Flores. No,
Yes,
just
Matt
kidding. Matt
Flores.
Flores. Good guy. Good guy. I know him. I
Yeah.
know him. Corey, the Queen Morris. Happy birthday to her. She's an absolute doll. And last but not least, Mr. Willie, our very good and loving Panamanian politician, Mayin Correa. Happy
Remember?
birthday to
Yes.
her. You know, I think we all know who Mayin Correa is, and she is still in politics. She is
She
still
is.
battling in
She's
there and
very
still in
active even on Facebook. I'm friends with her on Facebook. She posts all the time. She's very active. And remember, she actually started
lady.
on she was a TV personality on Channel 4 on RPC, and then she got into politics after that and has never let go, man. She's
Yeah,
good
yeah,
for
yeah.
her, man.
She's an icon. She's an icon there. Well,
Yes, she is.
everybody, all you late October birthdays, thank you for
Yeah,
being born, being
absolutely.
part of
Thank you
us.
for your patience, the ones that we missed last week, and any that
All
we
those that
didn't
we missed.
mention today. Obviously, we think of you guys as well. So some happy birthdays indeed, and here's your song, man. So happy birthday indeed to everybody, and those that we missed, apologies. And this covers us hopefully through Sunday. So anybody who's starting Monday moving forward, we'll pick you up next week on our first episode of the month. By the way, which that just reminded me, I
We
have to
have a
reschedule.
big show next week.
Yeah, so I
We're
gotta
double
reach out to.
scheduled.
I do. I got a scheduling conflict, so Jim, I'm gonna have to reach out. And Albrook Jets were coming on. We're gonna have to move that to the following week. So, but that's gonna be cool. We have a football show. We're gonna talk football. You know, we mentioned the Kiwanis there, and also the Albrook Jets. They've got a big organization. They have the Albrook Jets have the notoriety. I guess notoriety might be a strong word, but they're known as the first team to
To
knock the
dethrone.
Balboa Rams dynasty off.
To dethrone them from
Yes.
very Cicero days all the way to who knows.
Yep. Yep. It was the Albrook Jets that did it, not Kiwanis, not Cristobal, who certainly had a football pedigree that goes way back. You know, none of
You know, I
those guys
believe
did it. It
that's
was
when
Albrook.
Mike Nazarenko. I don't know if you guys remember him. Came to the Canal Zone from California, and he was just a stud quarterback.
Okay, that name does ring a bell.
Yeah, and I think that's why that kid showed up, and he was just a champ.
That's interesting. And Sheila just posted real quick, and we didn't want to interrupt the birthday, but yeah, she lived in front of Las Cruces. Check this out. She fell out of a tree, broke both arms, fractured her hip, and you're holding your chin. Holy cow. Wow. That is a Zonian indeed. Right on. And then I found a video driving all over Balboa, and the tree is still there. Right on. Right on. Love watching you. Love having you on, and love having you chime in and chat with us. So thank you. Thank you for sharing the Canal Zone stories. That's what we want to do here, guys. When we bring some of this stuff up, I know that sometimes we move forward a little fast, because there is that 8-second or so delay. But by all means, chime in and share your memories. That's what we want to do here is go back to the zone and hear about people falling out of trees on Las Cruces Street and all that good stuff. Because heck,
Yeah,
we've
I
all
live
done
on
that.
our
Man.
Las Cruces. Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah.
That
I
was
almost
cool.
probably know exactly what tree you fell out of.
Yeah, right. No doubt, man. So good stuff there. And Ralph's giving us a report. It's still end of the third, 0-0. Okay, as to be expected. A good game there.
Oh yeah, because these are the ace pitchers tonight.
Yeah, for sure. What time after the daylight savings time will you be on? That's a great question, Leaf. I haven't thought about it, but I'll give it some thought. And yeah, good point. Next week, obviously, daylight savings time kicks in over the weekend, next weekend. So not next episode, but the following episode, there may be a change in time. We'll let you know. It shouldn't impact anybody here in the States. Actually, it probably is going to be the same for us, 8 o'clock, but just in Panama now, I think it becomes 8 o'clock for them as well. Right now, it's
Correct.
7 o'clock as the show starts down in Panama. Right now, what time is it? It's 9 p.m. here, Eastern time, so it's 8 p.m. in Panama. So after the time change next weekend, we'll be on at the same time as Panama. So it'll be easier to schedule things as well. We just got to worry about the West Coast out there and those timekeepers.
No, we're
out
good.
there.
We're 5 at 5. Friday is plenty good for me.
Yeah, Ricky loves it now because his hour and a half show. He gets to get the hell out of here, man. He's going out. We would stay on after the show sometimes and hang out for a while in the studio and talk and everything. We get a 5-minute debrief, and Ricky's like, "I'm out, dude. See, I got to go
Yeah,
out."
well, I tell you, this was a busy week for me. We had
Yeah,
a lot going
no,
on
you
at the
have.
RRA construction. And one of the things we are going to be doing is we're going to be doing this franchise pizza place called Square Pizza. So we're going to be doing about
Nice.
7, 8, I believe, stores for them. And that CEO is in town right now. So yes, we are
Gotta
spending
play ball.
valuable
Yeah, for sure.
valuable resources on him.
Right. What up, Daniel? No worries about being late. You can always tune in afterwards on YouTube to watch the beginning of the show. But yeah, you're right. A kid in the canals of broke at least one bone sometime for sure, man. That was badge of honor to
It was,
get everybody to sign your
it was
cast.
like, one of every 10, 3 easily.
Yeah, for sure. I broke a collarbone riding a bike, and so funny story. For my brother, we were at fighting about something in the house, and this is a house in Amador, and you could run through the living room, and there was a doorway there that went down a long hallway, and then you go through the kitchen and back out into that dining room, living room area again. Well, that kitchen door was one of those swinging doors that swung both
Oh
ways.
yeah, I remember those. Yes,
And
yes.
he's chasing me to whip my ass for God knows what I did. But I run through the kitchen. He's coming behind me, and I just pull that door shut behind me. And it swings all the way through. Bam! Right on his collarbone. Dropped him like a sack of potatoes. He's on the ground. And mind you, we're probably 9-10 years old. Okay. He's on the floor crying. And Scott's always been bigger than me. I mean, our entire life.
Yeah. Scott's a big kid. Yeah.
And so I didn't believe him because there's been many a time where he'll pull the sleeper move on me, and also when I get close, he grabs a hold of me and ping boom pow whatever. So I'm kicking him and all this stuff, and then I realize he's really in pain. He's really crying. So I called my dad, and my dad had to come home, leave the police station, and he sat him up and he pulled his shirt down, and you could see the bone out. It was like ya la vida, man. So
Dude,
he made him cross his arms, wrapped a sheet around him, and got him in the car and took him to the hospital. But yeah, man, that's it was either get an ass whipping or pull that door shut, man. And that's what I did, not realizing he wasn't going to stop. It swung all the way through, and he hit it full speed, man.
Daniel mentions Kurt Cobain. Kurt Cobain was a great motocrosser, by the way. He was the Jerry Curtis before Jerry. He was the champion right before Jerry.
Yeah, yep. That's right.
Jerry had to dethrone Kurt. Kurt was a great motocrosser.
Yeah, remember we learned some of that with when the Dare Boys were on.
Oh yeah, when the Dare guys were on. Correct.
Yep, because they were talking about that. He's lying. He's going to sleep. Yeah, for sure. No, but listen, that was good stuff. The birthdays, it was a long one, man. That was a long list. Holy cow, that was. And I still think I do believe we missed some. I still do believe we missed a couple. Actually, we did miss some. And these are happy heavenly birthdays to Kyle Kosick and also to Bruce Barca. They celebrate birthdays this week up in heaven. So we're thinking about you guys as well. Happy birthday, guys. So
definitely Kyle. Kyle, good guy.
Yeah, both of them good guys. So let's let's give them their birthday song as well. Yeah, good people out there. So happy birthday to those guys and anyone else that we missed. Again, happy birthday. Look at Sheila. Man, Sheila, you're like the evil Knievel of the zone there. I also had a collarbone broke. My older brother, 6 years. Man, I hated those seesaws. Those things were everybody would get. If there was ever a cynical bone in your body, it would come out on a seesaw. That's what you would just totally. Please, you promise you won't? Yeah, I promise I won't. As soon as they're up there, bam, you jump off that thing, man.
Oh yeah, and everybody had to do the trick on everybody.
Yeah, that's what I'm
jump
saying,
off
man.
and then you would bang your butt.
And you know that everybody's lying, and you still get on it anyway. And you're up there praying because when you're a little kid, I might as well be 30 feet up. You're way up there, man.
Oh, and our swings. Remember the size of our swing?
Yes.
We didn't have the little Mickey Mouse 8-foot swings.
No, sir.
Those swings at Balboa, right there at the admin right next to Balboa Elementary School.
Yeah.
Remember those swings? Those things were like 20 feet tall.
Yes.
Maybe 18 feet
yeah.
tall.
That chain was a good 12 feet long.
Exactly, man. Those were the legit swings.
Yeah, and you jump off those things, man, and for a second you're floating in the air, man.
But what I remember of that, Willie, we love reminiscing. Everybody out there is you had to get out of there before night because that's where the bats. Remember all the bats would come out
Yes.
of there, and
Yes.
that's where the rat ball. You would not want to be there
Nope.
when the bats came out,
Nope,
man.
that's true, man. But God, that was so much fun jumping off those swings, man. God, because you could get some air on those
You
things.
can get some
man,
air on those
for
things, yes,
sure.
yes. I think
And then
finally
Lori,
there were so many broken bones that they got rid of them, man.
yeah, well, here Lori here broke her ankle jumping off of school. Yes, that was always a cool thing to hang out, on the bus stop roofs before the bus came in the mornings.
Yeah.
And do that. And then Dodd's asking, "Hey, Dodd, what's going on, brother? Who is faster motocross rider, Gary or Jerry?"
Gary just had a fast bike. He had those Honda Mugen. So you have a good question there. I would say 50-50.
Yeah, that would be
I'm
interesting.
a big Jerry fan, but Gary did give him good. Gary did compete quite well with Jerry, and it was mostly his bike, his Mugen.
Yeah.
He had a Mugen engine.
Yeah, he did, and then
But yeah,
and then
you're
he,
right.
he
Gary
got
beat
sponsored by
Joe
Honda later
Jerry,
on,
yeah.
and they took care of him. They took very good care of Gary.
Yeah. Jerry and Gary were both well.
Speaking of Gary, funny thing. My birthday's on December 9th. Gary's is on December 10th, and my wife is on December 11th. So
Right
we
on.
typically get a little group together here in Tampa, and then Jimmy Klingen is on the 20th, so we'll mix him in as well and have a little Zonian birthday party, which is cool because all three of us are back to back.
That's who I ran with. Jimmy Klingen.
Yeah.
Jimmy and Jerry, Marco.
Yep. And then look at Leafs asking, what about the 2,000-foot slide? I don't know what 2,000-foot slide. Oh no, 2,000 degrees. Yes. Ay, ya la vida. Remember that? You get on that slide in the middle of the day, nothing, you could fry a burger on it, man. Are you kidding? Yeah.
On the side of the hill, too. That slide went down for a while.
Yes. And that was all metal, man. And that thing was shiny because they had it up. So that thing, okay, you're right, Leaf. Good call on that one, man. That was hot as hell, those things. Lord, that's right. You got to celebrate a fellow sister breaking a bone, right? Heck yeah, right on. No, look at that. Those fruit bats would come out and run. Yeah, they would. Remember, you could throw stuff out. We would even spit up, and they'd come and
They would grab it. Yeah.
It's just something moving in the air. They go after it.
Yeah, the bats were.
Yeah, that Mugen was.
Mugen, yes, that's the reason why. But hey, that's how Jerry won, because Jerry started winning because his dad always had him with the latest motorcycle every year. Jerry would get a new motorcycle.
Yeah, he did. Honda took very good care of him when he was riding with them later on.
Jerry was Yamaha.
Oh no, I'm talking Gary. Gary was Honda.
Gary was Honda, and he was well sponsored.
He was. They had the dirt bikes for him, and they gave him a street bike that he would ride to school.
Oh, cool,
I remember this talking about riding to school. You remember the van the Klingens had? That big maroon or burgundy colored van had the cool rims and tires on it. So Gary would drive that to school sometimes. And one time I think we were going to go to lunch or something. And he gets in that thing and he goes, watch. And we backed up by somebody's car in one of the dirt parking spots. And he just, held the brakes and just floored it. And he just kicked up about 30 pounds of mud, covered this guy's car, and we drove off, man. I saw that Gary with that van, man. That van was awesome, man. That was...
Yeah, Gary also had a van. The Klingers and the Curtises were the big motocross families.
Yeah, Daniel, those things were hot as hell, man. And we would never learn, We'd try and hold it on the sides and kind of lift ourselves up. And
and if you got stuck, remember sometimes you would get stuck and you would just wouldn't slide?
You always got stuck, man.
Oh.
Those things were not made to go fast unless you had to lift your feet so that
you had to get up and run down because
remember,
you were
back
fry
then,
on those things.
And when we were kids, remember back then, we wore the Jimmy Connor shorts. We didn't wear the long baggy shorts, man.
Oh, yeah, the Jimmy Connor, right.
It was all skin, man, on those things. You would stick to those things the whole time.
Hey, those were the cool shorts with the long socks, the tube socks. Yeah, they were like that.
Exactly, the tube socks. Rode with on a Honda. Yes, insane. I did that with Bobby Fishbowl going down Section I, man. Never again. All I was holding was 2 pant loops, man. I thought I was going to fly off that bike, man. Hell no, I would never do that again, man. That's insane. Gary was a good rider, though. Gary knew what he was doing, but still, man, it's yikes. We look back at that now and think, ya la vida, man. What were we thinking, So, but anyway, so good stuff there, man. Let's switch gears now, guys, because we're going to be running out of time here. But we did talk about promoting the show earlier in the week that we're going to talk about not a province this time, but a comarca. And in this case, what we used to know as San Blas, which is now called Gunayala. But more importantly, we're going to learn how to make a mola. Okay.
Good, good.
Cool little video here explains it. I ended up having to shorten it. It was at about a 28-minute video. So we cut it down quite a bit, but it's rather interesting how they do those things. So nonetheless, let's talk about Made in Panama and our little segment there. Let's
Guapín Colón, hola Panamá, Chiriquí, Chorrera y Chitré. Si hay un lugar que quiero volver, siempre será Panamá. Panameña, 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 vida mía, yo quiero que tú me lleves. El que parpadea pierde.
All right, so there we go. So we're talking about, again, not a province this time, comarca, la comarca de San Blas. And look, Ricky went on a beer run. He's back now. Welcome back. Con la fría. Yeah.
Con la fría. Oh man, I swear I love drinking my beers while we do these podcasts.
It is. It's fun. Listen, we're in a bar. That's what we have to do, right? Absolutely.
Yeah,
So
we're happy hour. That's
Yeah.
what we're called. Happy hour at the Balboa Yacht Club.
Yep. So, but anyhow, so what
We're
we're
even at the bar right now. That's
We
cool
are.
the way you set up that graphics. We're at the bar. Look at that. It's like,
Right?
like a bar.
We're
I
at the
didn't pay
bar with a
attention to
little
that.
Corona beer.
But
So-
we're on the bar.
We've learned about the provinces, right? There's a lot of provinces there, and in this case, though, there was also comarcas. That term comarcas actually is a Portuguese term. It was used in Portugal and Spain for a little bit. It really kind of means the same thing as a province anyway, but it's a little bit of wordplay, I guess. Nonetheless, the comarca we used to know as San Blas, and the Indians or the natives that lived there were the Kunas when we grew up. Well, as it turns out, as time has passed, we've come to the realization that they actually have a different name they've gone with it and whatnot. So that's what we're going to talk about here today is Gunayala, which is the new term or the new name for that autonomous region. And they have the flag there. At one time they did have, as some people know, that swastika symbol on their flag. And when they had it, it wasn't considered that bad. Although I have read a few things that in some ways it kind of was, and it was meant to be as almost a smack in the face to the Panamanian government. There was a time here we're going to learn here in just a second where things weren't copacetic. They weren't certainly as friendly as Ricky's talking about that we had here in the 60s with Panama and the Canal Zone. Early on when Panama was formed, the objective of the government of Panama was to have the different indigenous populations assimilate to the Panamanian culture, Spanish culture, whatever you want to call it. So much so that the women were not allowed to wear mola skirts. They weren't allowed to have the ring in their nose. Remember the beads that they would have, on their wrists and on their ankles. They weren't allowed to wear those. They were enforcing them to bring them to the U.S. part to learn to be educated in a Panamanian education system. So there was a lot that they were doing there that wasn't. It was part of them starting a new country and saying, "Hey, this is what we're gonna do. This is how you're gonna live." So, interestingly enough, if you fast forward to about the 1920s, things started to get bad. There was a lot of skirmishes, a lot of things going on there. Where again, they were basically wiping out the culture, and they were going to make everybody there be Panamanians, and Panamanians, like the Panamanians living in Panama City. Right? Not Panamanians because you live in the country. You're going to be this type of Panamanian. And so, long story short, they ended up having a rebellion in 1925. Let me see. There it is. The Guna Revolution. Yeah, in 1925, they fought the ruling authorities. They actually took over a lot of the land. They killed a lot of policemen. Long story short, it only lasted about 3 or 4 days. It wasn't a lengthy rebellion, but it got everybody's attention. The United States actually stepped in and interceded and basically was able to negotiate where they were now allowed to be recognized as an indigenous group They were going to have that autonomy to form their own government, but they were going to abide by Panamanian laws. So they were going to be part of the Panamanian culture. And so again, it lasted a couple of days. It ended, and since then, for the most part, that's the way things remained. Right? We remember in the zone seeing them at Stevens Circle selling the molas and those goods, which we're going to talk about here in a second, the molas. But for the most part, the majority of the indigenous populations in Panama, for the most part, have turned out to be rather peaceful. And as we've seen when Columbus came and when all these guys started discovering there wasn't that many situations where there was an actual clash and whatnot. So it continued to be the case even when Panama took over. So that was kind of interesting.
Until Bayano showed up as a slave, and then he whooped ass.
Yep. Yeah, he did. You're absolutely right. But he wasn't one of these guys. He was
one of these guys, right?
He was from the Darien area, which is a little bit, I would say that would be almost like your guys out in the wilderness back in the days in the Old West in the United States, right? A little bit more rough and tumble there. So.
Yeah, we'll revisit that story of Bayano, because that's a good story to talk about again.
It sure is. It was an interesting story. But nonetheless, the one thing that we know, whether you want to call it Gunayala, whether you want to call it Sandblast, whatever you want to call it, and certainly out of respect, we want to respect their names and whatnot. But we know that region or that area for the mola. Okay. And we've all have molas. In fact, I just got one in the mail the other day.
Oh, you're not a Zonian if you don't have a mola hanging in your house.
No, I just got another one from somebody that found a couple of them and they were selling some. And I think she actually might still have some more. I need to double check that. Jim's asking if we're on tonight. Yes. Yep. Hopefully he's watching us, Jim. But if not, I'll send you the link so you can watch it afterwards. But
we mentioned him tonight. That Jim Duffus?
Yeah. He messaged me on Facebook about 8:30. So hopefully he did jump on and find us. Maybe people might still have the old address bookmarked on there. But nonetheless, so the mola there, right? Really, really cool thing. Let's figure out how the molas are made, okay? Because if you look at a mola, you realize that there's several layers of fabric there. They're sewn and cut in and whatnot, but there's a technique to it, and so I found this video. It was a long video, so I spliced it up, but it does really show how to make, and this is a very simple mola design they're going to do on here, but it's really cool what they do here. So check this out. So a couple of things they talk about when it comes to the molas, they typically start with two basic shapes and colors, the dark, which is the black, and then a contrast to it so it pops, right? The other key to the mola is all of your sewing thread is matching the color of the fabric you're sewing on. So you need that. You need a small pair of scissors because they do some really cool things here. So in this case, they're going to take this and they're going to make a kind of an elaborate little mola piece on here. The video is about 12 minutes long. So within that, we can chat about different things that we know about molas. And if you guys want to talk about some of your memories about the molas or Stevens Circle, feel free to chime in. But what they're talking about here that they're really doing is they're taking the mola here, and what she says is she's only going to sew the areas that are not going to be covered by that flower. No point in sewing something down that's going to be covered by something else. So they do a technique here, and there's a term for it in English or in French, where you fold something underneath, you tuck it in, and then you sew the edge of it. And that's what they're doing. If you notice what she did is she took that needle, she tucked in the edge of that leaf, and then she creates a seam with her nail, and then right at the edge of that border, she sews it in there in place, the piece that she wants. Let me see if I can get this full screen. Let me do something here. Hold on, because it is fascinating how they do this, and so you can get the full detail. All right, so here you go. So you see there where that needle's going, it's right on the edge of where that crease is. And so now she's going to keep sewing all the way through along that edge there. And when she gets in here, again, notice how she's going to finish that whole edge there. She uses a needle to tuck it in and create just a very easy natural curve. Then she creases it real quick, and now she's going to sew that entire side right along that edge. Okay, and then here's where the video kind of will speed up so you can see her go all the way to the end there, and where she's going to change the shape of that leaf there. Now, I watched another video, and this is what's fascinating, okay? I watched another video of Let me turn this volume down a little bit. I watched another video of somebody making a mola, and what was fascinating is, you know, for some of your more elaborate molas, they asked this lady who makes molas how long it would take her to make that design, and I would consider it a fairly elaborate design, and she said about 30 days because it's all hand sewn. I mean, you look at how tight some of those seams are. I think in this one, she actually, you know, because it's for a video of an example to show us, she didn't put the entire care and detail into it that she could have, but I can see where that little 3-inch strip there might take 30 stitches, right? Just one at a time, nice and close together, real tight along that seam. But that's what they're doing there. They're digging through that stuff. They're cutting along and creating the shapes here. Now she's on the other side. I'm moving the video along a little bit here. So now she gets to this piece, and remember what they're doing here. They're working from the bottom up, okay? But they're always tucking these in, and there's certain areas, as you're going to see on here, where in a lot of places, all you do is cut the fabric out, and you have the layer underneath it now sticks out, that pops it and gives it that depth and that 3-dimensional layer here. So now she's going to show you what she wants to do with that, showing you a comparison to it on here. And now she's going to make a couple of leaves. And this is the other thing. They draw everything in pencil, which the video, unfortunately, doesn't, you can't really see the image there. But she's going to do a little image there, and she's going to cut it out. And this is what she's going to use to make the leaf to put on top here. And it's funny because at first, as you're watching this, you're like, well, this is going to look like shit. But as she continues and finishes, even though it is a very basic, crude, just educational video, it ends up looking pretty nice. You know, it does a pretty good job where you can see the technique involved to make these, you know, to make these molas and make them so elaborate. So here she's now, you know, tucking it in under there, and she's going to start doing the same technique here, right? She's going to take that needle, crease it, fold these pieces under. Nothing gets sewn on the surface. It's always folded underneath so that you have very tight seams on everything, which is really awesome. And when you look at a mola, if you think about it, you don't have any edges that are going to ever, you know, flare out where you're going to have little pieces of string coming off it because it's all tucked in. You have a nice, clean, tight edge everywhere. Really, really cool how they do it. So now you see that she's finished that. She's sewing it in there. And then she ended up, let me back it up a little so you can see what she ended up with there. Let me see if it goes to here. Yeah, right about there. She's almost done now. She's tucking these in. So now it certainly looks a lot different than when she actually cut it out because it's a lot thinner now. And she's tucking in a lot more of that stuff. And you'll see now in a sec, because now right now it does look like, wow, this doesn't really look like much. But again, there's some really, really tight seams that she's going to put in there. And then she's going to cover them again with your next flower. Okay. Now, here's what's fascinating. Once you get this layer here, you think she's ready to go here, but she's going to put some more decorative pieces. And look at this here. She's going to cut these little tiny slits inside these. And it's going to totally change the shape of this flower when she gets done, right? She's going to cut them all the way around. Not quite all the way. She's going to miss a couple of them here. But this is where she now starts moving forward with the next piece. And now you notice again, she did the needle piece where she tucked them in, and they're taking a whole different shape of a flower. It actually starts looking like a petal, right? And see how it's all flared out there on that end? See now how when she tucks it in, you have a nice smooth edge on it. Really, really cool technique to do that, to fold those underneath there. So we'll move it forward a little bit more here. And now they're going to add a couple more shapes on top. You got a couple more strips of cloth that they've added as far as layers. Again, the very same technique, tuck it under and sew it on there. And ultimately, this is what they end up with, okay? Now, you notice that she had red and black under there, but you don't see them, okay? But they're tucked underneath there. So now she's going to turn around and cut a couple of slits in here. And this is what's going to now expose those other colors underneath, which are strong contrast colors. And it's going to give it, again, that extra pop and that shape there. And she actually will end up clipping these down, which I'm not sure if the video is going to show it or not. But end result, as you watch her, she's almost getting done with it. Okay, now she's going to take her needle and she's going to start opening up and flaring out the piece underneath it and get it to pop. Now she's got that red there that was contrasting underneath it. And there she is working it out there and cutting in those, tucking in those circles, getting all the flared pieces out of there. So you can trim it a little bit more. So again, very basic mola, right? And it's certainly not something you would pay money for, but it's really showing us the technique that you're using. But you notice you always have nice tight edges with that, and you end up with a really cool design. Obviously, this was done in a few minutes, and that lady there, the one previously, you're talking weeks and weeks to get those things done. But absolutely fascinating how they're able to do that. So I just thought that was kind of cool to see how molas are made, you know. But
Yeah, interesting, Willie, and you know quite a lot about it.
yeah,
Some
no,
good
you know,
research.
I was doing some research on it, figuring out a couple of things on it and whatnot. But yeah, that was cool, man. So now you know, if you look at a mola and it's a beautiful mola, you understand if somebody's charged you some good money for it, you see why. It's a lot of labor intensive work. You know, not tiring in the sense that you're lifting heavy or anything, but you're doing a lot of work. I mean, she had a pretty nice one there, and the stitching I would consider it quite loose. I would be willing to bet that if you look at stitching on a mola that you have, you know, hanging up in your wall, a real nice elaborate one, that stitching is probably really really tight and right on that edge. So. But I was reading the story on this, and they started about 8 or 9 years old, and they do it to make their own clothing. And so they
Oh,
learned how to do it,
cool.
and they learned all those techniques on how to sew it properly and everything. So yeah, it was a really,
Well,
really
they
cool thing to
definitely
learn.
learned how to make money because I remember when were
Yeah.
growing up, we would go to Steven Circles and Molas all
Yes.
day, and
Correct.
selfies with the kudas all day. Now try to take a selfie.
Yeah. Yeah,
It
forget
costs
about
you
it.
$5.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that is they are quite beautiful, Sheila. And I've seen some incredible molas out there. You know, they're all kinds of shapes and sizes. Really, really cool. But now you have a little more appreciation for what's involved and how long it takes to make it. And yeah, I do absolutely love it. And like I said, I just got one in the mail the other day. Bear with me, I'll tell you who sent that to me. It was just recently I got it. Um, where was it? Sorry, I should remember this. I'm just really bad with Susan Alves. Um, Susan Alves posted on Facebook recently that she found some molas and she had some for sale. So I went ahead and bought one of them, and I got it. Susan, if you're watching, thank you so much. It's awesome, beautiful mola.
Yeah, I
Um,
walked into a Starbucks, Willie, and it was all Mola pictures
yeah,
here in San
right.
Francisco. It's all
You
Molas,
know,
yeah.
and you know, my wife loves her tumbler from the Balboa Trading Company from Ruthie MacArthur. She has some really
MacArthur.
awesome mola tumblers. So if you love your mola and you want a cool drink tumbler, reach out to her. Go on to Balboa Trading Company, find them on Facebook, and get one of those tumblers. They're awesome. They're really really awesome. And every time you take that out, somebody asks you, "Wow, that's beautiful. Where'd you get that?" And you're like, "As a matter of fact, you know, it's let me tell you the story." And now you can tell them how a mola is made because now you know the technique. So, but anyhow, good stuff, guys. So listen, we've reached that moment here. You know,
On the beautiful Isthmus of Panama, you're viewing SCN TV, channels 8 and 10. We wish you a good night and a good day.